Hey you guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm so excited today because I have Sean, who's Sean right now, but will soon be Sheila, in the studio for a drag transformation. I've wanted to do this forever on the channel, so I'm just so excited that you wanted to be a part of the show. We are going to be doing this transformation and I'm going to be doing it in front of your eyes, but I want to talk to Sean about his process finding Sheila, how he went about in that transformation, what his wife thought about that transformation, and all of the tea that you guys always want to know but are afraid to ask. He is an open book, and she is an open. Is Sheila an open book?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, she's very confident.
Yeah.
So we're gonna dive right in and just kind of destigmatize and put publicly a story of someone who has gone through this and who has done it in a way that has really allowed him to be a fuller, more well-rounded version of himself. Sean, how old are you? Can you say?
63 now.
63.
Yep.
Oh, you're still young. You're still a young chicken.
You think that? There are things that tell me otherwise.
But Sheila's like, you said 20, right?
She's only maybe 19 right now in actual years.
Oh.
She's a lot younger than I am.
From when you discovered her.
Yeah. The truth is, though, she's probably always about 20 years younger than I am, when she gets to show up.
Oh. So she's like a 40.
Yeah, maybe she looks like 40 and she has about 20 years experience coming up.
Yeah. I love that you
Something like that. Something like that.
So you guys know with mature skin, we get some aging, of course, right? Because Sheila's younger, we're gonna snatch her up.
Awesome.
We're gonna take the face.
Awesome.
If you guys haven't seen this before, this is the shit. Look at this.
I know, isn't it awesome? Face opens up and we're there.
Oh yeah. Tell me about your life as a man, like your career, your life experience.
Oh, well, let's see. Straight out of high school into the Canadian Armed Forces.
So you were in the Army?
Yes, during that same time, and Jen knows the dates better than I do, but
When did you meet Jen?
I met her in the Army. She's a trained soldier.
No way!
Oh,
Jen
yeah.
is here. You guys don't see her, but she's here.
Yep.
She's hanging out with us.
She's a trained soldier too.
How many kids do you guys have?
We have 2 girls.
Oh my gosh, awesome.
Grew up in a house of girls.
And so were you a police officer in this region? Like
I was for 30 years.
30 years?
Yep.
So during that time in the military, being a police officer, did you ever feel inclined to want to dress up or?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Well,
so when was
at
your
some
earliest
point,
memory of wanting to do it?
that I really couldn't tell you. I mean, that's just built into your personality somewhere. Pretty much I always had some curiosity about it, but we didn't do anything too active until about 19 years ago or somewhere there.
Did he talk to you about it, Jen? Yeah, and you just listened? Because I'm married to my husband, right? And I think if he just mentioned it, I would be very surprised. Like, I wouldn't be against it. I would just be very like, what? You know, like,
Well, of course.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's only natural, which is part of the reason that people are not going to be forthcoming about that all the time as a first line of conversation.
Yeah.
Especially, but again, it's hard to explain because people will have their own vision of what that's about based on someone they know, some story they've heard, and I didn't understand any of that because I didn't really feel like I have anything in common with what I thought were the stereotypes. So for me, it was just curiosity, and yeah, I'd like to try that. That would be fun. Not knowing how you can actualize that or turn it into something interesting to do. I mean, it's sort of left at that, for a lot of the time. You don't really spend a lot of time dwelling on it.
Yeah.
I think there are people that do.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my experience,
You didn't feel like you dwelled on it too much?
No, well, not a lot, because, I mean, Sheila's a hobby.
Right.
She's literally a hobby.
Yeah.
Once I figured it out, I mean, you don't know that at first.
So then, when was the first time that you tried it out? And what made you take that plunge? Because that's hard, like...
Well,
I really feel for you, like-
Jen and I tried several Halloween costume type events where, but that wasn't, we don't qualify that as Sheila.
Did it feel like right when you did it in Halloween?
No, not at all. Really uncomfortable, not good. Didn't recognize
Really?
Didn't recognize anybody. So it got left alone off and on for a while because I don't feel like a girl. I mean, I don't need to be one. I don't want to be one.
You're not transgender.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
So that's part of the confusion. No, Sheila's a hobby.
Right.
She's entertainment.
She's a
for
character.
me, yes. And that makes it a bit confusing if you're the only one who sees it that way, you know?
Totally. And do you find there's a lot of other drag performers who do see it that way?
None.
Really?
I know of none. I mean, there may be, but I don't know them. I had to have my mentor in Las Vegas clarify that for me after a couple of years of her doing transformations.
So your mentor is your Las Vegas makeup artist, right?
Yeah.
And what's her name?
Her name is Amy, and Amy runs a business called Just You in Las Vegas. And her entire business as a makeup artist is transformational.
How did you discover Amy then?
We were on vacation, and one year we thought about being there for Halloween the next time we came down.
Right.
And because it's a big party in Las Vegas at that time and everything else, it would be an ideal time to experiment and go out. And so we sent an email to them and asked if we were on vacation during the Halloween period, do you have an appointment available? And this is almost a year ahead of time.
Right.
So we did do a transformation there.
And you booked that?
Yeah. Sheila didn't show up until that day. That's the first time I'd ever seen her.
Were you nervous?
Absolutely. In fact, it was very nerve-wracking because you know so little about it at the time. I wasn't sure who I'd meet, and
this was a different time too. It was a different
Well,
era.
20 years ago, things were a little different, and I still wanted to try that, and I knew, I mean, there's a certain amount of anonymity in Las Vegas, so
Totally.
if you, I mean, it's a good place to experiment.
Totally.
Because it's not really, you know, going to be fraught with horrible consequences if you don't enjoy yourself or don't look good or whatever.
Totally. It doesn't matter. No one would know. It was just you and Jen, your wife?
Yep. When Amy has me facing away, you know, the first time, when she's all done, she puts your wig on and everything together. And then she tells you to close your eyes and turns you around so you're facing the big makeup mirrors, you know. And, and then she says, okay, open eyes. And that was a very strange experience.
Tell me about that. What was that like? That's crazy.
Well, that was a bit eerie. And again, you won't find me believing in the supernatural, but what happened was, for the first time, I just looked at the mirror and I said to Amy, quite spontaneously, without thinking, it was not something I got to think about or had ever thought about.
Yeah.
And I just said, I know that girl. And the funniest thing is Amy didn't even hesitate. She just, right straight back, she said, oh, I know you do. Sheila has a different personality. I have watched people, and I don't know if you will understand when I say this, but I've watched people who try very hard to transform themselves. And that shows.
Yeah.
And I watch those who behave like they think women do. And that's not always credible either.
Yes.
And although Sheila needed some practice walking in heels and things, I didn't really rehearse her personality. It just kind of moves in behind your eyes.
And how is she different from Sean? Like, what's the difference?
Oh, see, that's the cool thing. If you... I think a psychoanalyst would have a lot of fun with that. But the reality is that the way I've come to relate to the whole thing is that I think we're always, it doesn't matter what our role is in life, we're always acting that role to some degree. Some people more than others, but what I mean by that is it's learned.
Yeah.
Guys learn to be guys.
Yes.
Police officers learn to be guys who are police officers.
And honestly, we do that even at the youngest age, like my boys.
Of course.
Like, it's like I try so hard not to gender stereotype them, and it's like, do you want to play with the superhero action figure? It's like we constantly, or little girls are like, oh, the little dollies.
Absolutely.
Oh, hold her, and right?
Absolutely.
And it's like I try not to because I have awareness of it now, and it's a different age, and I have a psychology degree, and I understand all this gender stereotyping, but it's like innate. It's like inbred in you.
Well, of course it is, and that's the part that you come to realize. The other thing is I don't think any of it's damaging as long as you don't turn it off when somebody wants to go in a different direction.
Totally. Or become totally like...
It's like, do you want to play with this? Yeah, I do. Okay, fine. Do you want to play with that? Well, I do. You know? Okay, well, that's okay too.
Totally.
But the reality of it is that Sheila has a different permission set for the programmers in the world.
Yeah.
Sean had to behave like Sean, you know, whether he's a soldier or a police officer, or any other role that men take on.
Yeah.
And you don't realize you've learned how much of it is learned.
Yeah.
And it's overriding maybe what you'd like to feel. I'll give you the single biggest difference. Sheila has cried tears several times, quite spontaneously, without any effort.
Yeah.
And Sean doesn't.
Really?
And it's
That's
not because we
fascinating.
don't feel. It's just that's the programming.
Yeah.
Sheila has permission to do certain things
Yeah.
because she feels like she relates to a different social group.
Yes.
You know.
Totally.
And I can't explain that to people because they'll think that means that you're transgendered or something. It doesn't mean much of anything. In fact, it was Amy who helped clarify this. I think I finally said to her, I said, I don't think I'm like all your other clients. And she said, what do you mean? I said, well, the majority of the clientele that come in are either trying to be women full-time,
Yeah.
which is one thing, or they really enjoy dressing like a woman,
Yeah.
but I'm neither of those things. And she said, that's easy, you're a drag queen, dear. And I looked at her in horror, I said, but all of the drag queens I've met are gay so far. I haven't met any that aren't.
Yes,
And
I've
they
never
said,
met a straight drag queen until now.
That's what had me confused, and I didn't care either way, but I said, and she just said, it doesn't matter, you're performing all the time.
The annoying thing is that a sexuality and gender identity are different. Like you can be transgender,
Yes.
right? But then
Yes.
you can also be drag, but that doesn't link to sexuality. And people get really mixed up.
Yes.
It's like they can't accept that.
Well, because we're programmed not to, we have
Yes.
a design.
Totally.
So I had experiences where people are even people within those communities are trying to impose their stereotypes on me.
Yes.
And it's funny because we have friends and they'll say, so have you come out? And I said, there's nothing to come out to. Sheila's a hobby. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
And those are people in the LGBT community?
Yes. You know, and they mean well, but that's how they feel, that there's something that has to be shared. And I say, well, I share Sheila because she's fun, but I don't tell people that that's who I really am or that's who I need to be.
Yeah.
She's kind of like therapy for stress some days.
Really?
Well, she's very fun. See, that's the other thing is that guys won't admit this, but I think there's a lot of stress in being our stereotype roles sometimes.
Yeah.
Because we're not supposed to react to this and we're not supposed to be.
It's a lot of oppression.
Yeah. So, I mean, Sheila suddenly has permission to be spontaneous and simply like things.
Finding Sheila, what was that for Jennifer over time? Did it evolve? Because that's a hard question.
She'll tell you it did for sure because it made her nervous at first. It's like, what does that mean? Because same thing is, well, does that mean that you want to be a girl
gay or
that you're a girl?
Yeah.
And the answer is no, neither of the above. And so I think if you get her to talk to, well, I know that what she said, she's gotten used to that and she likes Sheila.
Yeah, Sheila's like a girlfriend.
Well, she's like a girlfriend and she can shop for her. That whole stereotyping thing and trying to figure out where you fit in can be a little bit confusing because, I mean, I didn't realize that what I was doing was drag, but Amy saw it immediately and she says, no, you're just an entertainer. You want to entertain.
And so how old were you when Sheila came? 20 years ago, right?
Yep, that'd be 40-something.
40-something.
Yeah.
So you're my husband's age. You were my husband's age
Yeah.
now. And how old were your girls?
Oh, Jen knows the math better than I do, but at that point, what?
Because your girls are adult women now.
Well, they were 83. Yes, absolutely.
83. Was it hard for you as their dad to introduce them to Sheila?
Because they were adults, it really wasn't a big problem because they were raised not to be worried about stuff like that, so I wasn't too worried about them.
Yeah.
In fact, the oldest one, when we got back again, Sheila only lived in Las Vegas. She didn't happen here ever.
Did you tell them about Sheila in Las Vegas before coming?
Yeah. Sheila had never showed up here ever, and I was quite afraid that without Amy's help, Sheila wouldn't exist anyway.
Right, because Amy was very connected to your experience.
Totally, because I had not seen a glimmer of Miss Sheila prior to her. I had to laugh because they showed her a picture of Sheila. I said, well, we do this down in Vegas because it's become quite a lot of fun. And she just called her husband from the other room and said, you got to see this, it's awesome. So that was
amazing.
Yeah. Youngest one, maybe not so much, but...
Did the youngest one take some time to get used to it?
I think she was okay. It wasn't a personal, it was more what extended family might...
It's hard to
because not everybody is okay with it. I mean, even if you are, one of the things we are is part of a community, and we always have to decide. Yeah. People used to tell me at work, well, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you tell anyone at work? And I went, because they didn't need to know. It was only in Las Vegas, and it wouldn't help clarify that relationship socially at the time, because they see you as in that other role.
Yes, totally.
And it confuses things because they're casual acquaintances. They're not your close friends.
Yeah, totally.
And so now it confuses things, especially if you're a supervisor or a person of responsibility.
Yeah.
So it wasn't
a
thing that I'm concerned about showing, because there's lots of people. In fact, tonight's show will have several people who I used to work with.
Yeah.
And that's fine. But you don't want to disillusion people and confuse them. They're having enough trouble relating to your expectations as a supervisor and other things, you know.
Yeah.
And so,
but it's also your personal life.
Well, and that too, it had no role here. That's the thing.
It's none of your business.
And I think the most important thing I need to say about the whole thing is that one of the things that makes me different, that's why I say when some people ask me, well, have you come out, or did you do this, or did you do that? And I say, well, no, because this is a hobby. Yeah. And one of the things about a hobby is I've never demanded that friends, family, or anyone else has to interact with Sheila.
Yes.
Because she's not mandatory. She's optional. I realize that's not the situation for everyone.
Yeah.
But for me it is. And that's a luxury that I have that isn't there for those who are transgendered or
totally.
You know, and it's
totally.
I mean, it's like a performer saying, what do you do at work? Well, I'm an actor and I do this. And you go, okay, I don't care. You know?
Yeah.
And you go, okay, but we're still good friends. And that doesn't matter.
It must feel really liberating to go out there as Sheila and perform.
It is. It is. It took a while to figure that out, but it definitely is.
Yeah.
For me, Sheila is a celebration of things from my childhood, in the sense that was another thing that Amy helped clarify. She said, he said, no, you're just a tribute to femininity because you like women. And I said, well, that's interesting. And the more I thought about it, the more real that is. I guess when I was young, it was pretty normal for women to dress up to go to the movies, dress up to go out for the evening, for dinner. People put on their best clothes to get on an airplane. But of course, it was a different world because everybody wasn't working all the time.
Yeah,
so,
there was time, more time.
Well, and that's part of it.
Do you have a Sheila voice? Does Sheila have a voice?
Uh-huh.
It's starting. I can't wait to hear Sheila's voice.
And she's not the only one.
Is it hard for you to stay in character, or do you find that when you become Sheila, you are her?
I are her.
Yeah.
She takes over.
That's so cool.
It is, because I don't know how that happens. It just feels like she's here.
Yeah, like the right thing.
And generally when I see her makeup, then I kind of know who she is. I mean, she's always the same person, but I mean, it's like, oh, are we sassy?
Today she's very sassy.
Well, that's all right. She needs to be.
Today she's show.
Oh, she needs to be.
Guys, we took a short break and this happened. I swear it was like 10 minutes, and the next thing you know, Sheila's here.
Drag queens work in mysterious ways.
Look at you.
Oh,
you look
thank
amazing.
you so much. Now I'm being careful.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, don't touch me.
Sometimes you get people who want to kiss or hug, and it's just like,
not too close.
We're fragile.
Sheila, thank you so much for coming and for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being on the show.
I had a ton of fun, and we're going to have more fun tonight.
And now we're going to go to the performance. Thank you guys for tuning in, being a fly on the wall as I did this drag transformation. If you have any questions about drag, have any questions about how I do drag makeup, leave it in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe if you like this kind of content. Give me a thumbs up. And as always, I'll see you next week. Bye!